Hi, I'm Alexa. This is my American flag that I was given on the day that I became a U.S. citizen. This flag lives on my desk over here, to my right. And I like to keep it there to remind myself of all the reasons I chose to become a U.S. citizen. One of those things is that I do not believe anyone is born to rule simply because of their parents. I believe in basic human rights, and I believe in the promise, the blue sky goal, the inspiration that America could be. Now, we're human. We all fall short. It doesn't matter what country you live in, whether they have democracy or not, although democracies probably have more freedom than other countries. None of us are perfect. If we face the facts, the reality of our history, of our current state, of the path that we are currently on, we can change it. And that is true from individuals to families, to cities, to towns, states, countries, to the whole earth collectively. The key, the absolute key, is being realistic with ourselves about past, present, and future if we continue the way we're going. Today is No King's Day. And I've seen estimates that range from 5 million people to more than double that. I am sure in the next couple of days, an official count will come out of how many people protested and showed up to use and exercise their First Amendment rights today. I will say that where I am, it was heartening to see the increase in numbers of people who are coming to these events. And these people are not just Democrats. They are not just, quote unquote, radical liberals, as certain people in power would like you to believe. These are people from every walk of life who are horrified by certain things that are happening right now. They are coming together, whether they are Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, Independent. They're coming together to stand for what is right. Obviously, what is right could be argued and might be subjective, but this group of people across the nation and around the world, we all seem to agree on the general gist of what is right and what is moral and what is, I guess, good. I'd like to read you a few things. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers. In every stage of these oppressions, We have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Now, I chose various sections of the Declaration of Independence, and hopefully, just hearing those, you can see why I chose them with things that are happening right now. For example, the one about abdicating duty and leaving us to our own devices. The current administration has completely gutted FEMA. He's refusing emergency help to, I want to say it was North Carolina or Missouri, that sort of section of the country that recently had flooding and storms, not from like January, but more recent. But even those natural disasters from earlier this year, late last year, they're being denied stuff. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the governor of a state, and she asked for help, and it was denied. That's a deep red state, and this administration is denying them federal help. The states are not equipped to get the kind of help that FEMA was able to do at scale in a moment's notice. They're able to keep much more grand stockpiles of survival items, aid items, etc. And because natural disasters happen around the country, it's not one state having to hold them all. They take them where they need to go. And also emergency supplies can be sent overseas, obviously. Being shipped overseas with no trial by jury on pretend offenses. 200 plus people were sent to the Seacott prison, and it's now come out that something like 3/4 of them were known to have zero criminal record. They got no due process, and they were sent there anyway, to a foreign country, to a prison, to a torture camp. If you do not stand against these offenses currently occurring today, then I am very sorry to inform you, but you are against the founding principles of our country, the United States of America. There is simply no way to support the abhorrent actions going on right now and to support our country and the supreme rule of law. There's no way. They are diametrically opposed. They are opposite. I really wish we were not in this situation. There is something to be said about not having to worry about what's going on in our legislatures, that we don't have to worry about it. We can keep our heads down, go about our lives, la-di-da, head in the clouds. Unfortunately, so many of us have had to worry, and more of us are having to worry every single day. In my last video, I talked about joy and hope being the antidote to fear. I have to tell you, seeing the crowds today, even in my own little town, seeing the groundswell of support opposing these horrible, horrible policies, the incredible positivity of the crowds, the joy that they are bringing with them as they exercise their right to protest the government. That is hopeful to me. There was some absolutely heartbreaking news out of Minnesota this morning. A lone gunman took it upon himself to target and successfully execute 2 people and injure 2 others and I believe is still on the run at the time of me recording this. Why was that done today? Well, fear. It was absolutely done to instill fear. What I would like to call out is the thousands upon thousands of Minnesotans who, despite being asked not to, out of an abundance of caution, they did still exercise their right to protest. They looked that fear in the face and they went out there and said, this is more important, that our voices are heard. That's hopeful. I don't know if we'll get to the 11 million that is 3.5% of the population, or 11.5 million. Sorry, my AC unit just turned on. Allegedly, any social movement that can mobilize more than 3.5% of the population has long-lasting success in what they are trying to accomplish. I don't know if we met that today, but more and more people are being pushed out of their comfort zones and standing up and saying this isn't right. And however if you were able to protest today, whether that is simply sharing messages online, supporting others, honking as you drive past protests. That's one of the funnest things about ever being out in protest or parades or whatever. People like honking and celebrating as they go past, waving out the window. It's very fun. Whatever you were able to do, if you are using what you have to stand against the tyranny, to stand against the human rights violations, personally, me, I thank you. Be kind to yourself today, folks. It was a long one.